Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. In this video, my team will explain about syntactic forms, grammatical function, and semantic roles. The member of team is I am Endang Tri Lestari and my friends Elysa Nuryani Markhamah, Fatma Rahmawati, Ine Putri Setyaningrum, and Khofifah Nur Sholikah. So, watch this video until the end ya.
Hello, my name is Khofifah Nur Sholikah. In this video, I'm gonna give you more information about the introduction of the syntactic forms, grammatical function, and semantic roles. There are other dimensions of the analysis of sentences. One such way is using the notion of grammatical functions. For example, the monkey scratched a boy on Monday. The monkey is the subject, a boy is the object, and scratched as a predicator on Monday serves as a modifier. We also can represent sentence structure in terms of semantic roles. For example, John took the monkey in the forest. The monkey was taken in the wood by John. In both cases, John has semantic roles of agent, whereas the monkey has the semantic role of patient. We also have predicate and locative. And then we're gonna talk about grammatical function. How we can identify the grammatical function of a given constituent. Several tests can be used to determine grammatical function as we show here. Subject, for example, the cat devoured the rat. In the 6a, the subject is the cat and the object is the rat. The most common structure for a sentence seems to be one in which the non-phrase subject is the one who performs the action. However, this is not always so. For example, my brother wears a green overcoat. Wearing a green overcoat is not agentive activities. Such facts show that we cannot rely on the semantic roles of the agent for determining subjecthood. More reliable tests for subjecthood come from syntactic tests such as first, agreement. The main verb of a sentence agrees with the subject in English. For example, the book, including all the chapters in the first section, is very interesting. The subject is book even though there is a noun closer to the main verb. This indicates that it is not simply linear position of the noun phrase that determines agreement. Rather, agreement shows us what the subject of sentence is. Second, tag questions is a short question tagged on to the end of the utterance. For example, the lady singing with a boy is a genius, isn't it? The pronoun in the tag question agrees with the subject in person, number, and gender. The pronoun she in 10a shows us that lady is the head of the subject noun phrase. The generalization is that a tag question must contain a pronoun which identifies the subject of the clause to which the tag is attached. The last is subject auxiliary inversion. In forming questions and other sentence types, English has subject auxiliary inversion, which applies only to the subject. For example, this teacher is genius. Is this teacher a genius? The formation of yes or no questions, such as this involves the first tense auxiliary verb moving across the subject.
My name is Ine Putri Setyaningrum, NIM 1961-21245. Number 2, direct and indirect object. A direct object is canonically a noun phrase undergoing the process denoted by the verb. Example, his girlfriend broke his computer. However, this is not a solid generalization. The object in 15a and 15b are not really affected by the action. In 15a, the dog is experiencing something, and in 15b, the thunder is somehow causing some feeling in the dog. 15a, thunder frightens the dog. B, the dog fears thunder. Once again, the data show us that we cannot identify the object based on semantic rules. A much more firm criterion in the syntax construction of pacification, in which a notional direct object appears as subject. The sentence below can be turned into passive sentence in A. His girlfriend broke this computer for him. To be this computer was broke for him by his girlfriend. What we can notice here is that the objects above are promoted to subject in the passive sentence. The task comes from the fact that non-object non-phrase cannot be promoted to the subject. 18a. This item belongs to the student. To be the student is belongs to by this item. The objects that undergo pacification are direct objects. The indirect object identifies the person or things for whom or what the action of the verb is performed. An indirect object is one which precedes a direct object. As in 20, indirect objects are non-phrase and have the semantic roles of goal, recipient, or benefactive. 20. A. I threw the puppy the ball. The indirect object is goal. B. George gave the boys the CDs. The indirect object is recipient. C. My mother baked me a birthday cake. Indirect object is benefactive. In example like 20, passive has the property of making the indirect object into the subject. 21. A. The boys were given the CDs by John. B. She was sent a review copy of the book by the publisher. Note that sentences with the indirect object to direct object order are different from those where the semantic roles of the indirect objects is expressed on a oblique verb phrase. Following the direct object, such a process is sometimes called dative alteration. 22a. John gave the CDs to the boys. B. The publisher sent a review copy of the book to her. C. My mother baked a cake for me. In this kind of example, it is once again the direct object which can be pacified. Giving example like the following. 23. CDs were given to the boys by John. B. A review copy of the book was sent to her by the publisher. And C. This nice cake was baked for me by my mother.
Modifiers. The function of the OIO predicative complement and oblique complement all have one common property. They are selected by the verb, and we view them as being present to complement the verb to form a legitimate verb phrase. Hence, these are called complements, and typical that cannot be omitted. Form and function together, we now can analyze a sentence in terms of grammatical function as well as the structural constitute. Let you see how we can analyze a simple sentence along these two dimensions. Subject. In this section exists non-phrase subject. This is a form determiner, the adjective little, noun cat. Verb phrase predicate. Verb deferred. Non-phrase objective determiner, a noun mouse. As respected here, the expression the little cat and a mouse are both non-phrase, but they have different grammatical functions, subject and object. The verb phrase as a whole function as the predicate of the sentence describing the property of the subject. Assigning grammatical function within complex sentence is no different. Subject. In this section exists non-phrase subject. This is a form noun John, verb phrase predicate, verb believe, clause phrase object, clause that, subject non-phrase subject, verb phrase predicate, the cat, verb phrase predicate, verb deferred, non-phrase objective, a mouse. Each clause has its own subject and predicate. John is the subject of the higher clause, whereas the cat is the subject of the lower clause. We also can notice that there are two objects. The clause is the object of higher clause, whereas the non-phrase is that of the lower clause. Every category in a given sentence has a grammatical function, but there is no one-to-one mapping between category sus and non-phrase or clause phrase and its possible grammatical function.
I'm Elysa. Here I want to continue this material. I want to explain about semantic rules. What is semantic rules? Semantic rules were introduced as a way of classifying the argument of predicators, mostly verbs and adjectives, into a closed set of participant types. Even though we cannot make any absolute generalizations about the relationship between grammatical function and semantic rules, the properties of semantic rules do interact in regular ways with certain grammatical construction. A list of the most relevant thematic rules and the associated properties is given below. In semantic rules, there are such as of against, agents, patience, experience, them, benefactive, source, goal, location, and the last is instrument. The first one is agent. Agent is a participant which the meaning of the verb specifies as doing or causing something. Possible internationally, examples is subject of it, kick, hit, hammer, and etc. The example sentence is John ate this noodle quietly. John ate his noodle quietly. And the second one is passion, a participant which the verb characterizes as having something happen to it and as being affected by what happens to it. Examples is object of kick, hit, hammer, and etc. The example sentence about passion is a boy hit the ball. A boy is verb characterize. And the third one is experiencer. Experiencer is a participant who is characterized as aware of something. Examples: subject of perception, verbs like feel, smell, hear, see, and etc. The example sentence is the student felt comfortable in the class. And the fourth one is them. Them is a participant which is characterized as changing its positions or conditions, or as being in a state or position. Example is direct object of give, hand, subject of come, happen, die, and etc. The example sentence is John gave a book to the student. And then the five one is benefactive, the entire that benefits from the actions or even denoted by the predicator. Example is oblique complement of make, buy, and etc. The example sentence is John made a doll for his son. The sixth one is source. Source is the one from which motion proceeds. Example is subject of promise, object of deprive, free, cure, and etc. Example sentence about source is promise Bill to leave tomorrow morning. And the next is goal. Goal is the one to which motion proceeds. Example is subject of receive, by indirect, object of tell, give, and etc. Example sentence of goal is Mary received an award from the department. And then location. Location, the thematic role associated with the noun phrase expressing the location in a sentence with a verb of location. Example of location is keep, own, routine, locative, pronunciation, phrase, and etc. The sample sentence is John put his books in the attic. The last one is instrument. Instrument is the medium by which the action or even denoted by the predicator is carried out. Example of is oblique complement of hit, wipe, hammer, and etc. The example of sentence Job hit the ball with a bat. And then an important advantage of having such semantic rules available to us is that it allows us to capture the relationship between two related sentences as we have already seen. As another example, consider the following pair, like act the cat, kissed, pet the mouse. Even though the above two sentences have different syntactic structure, they have essentially identical interpretation. The reason is that the same semantic rules aside to the noun phrase. In both examples, the cat is the agent and the mouse is the patient. Different grammatical uses of verbs may express the same semantic rules different ways. The semantic rules also allow us to classify verbs into fine-grained groups. For example, consider the following example. There still remains an issue to be solved. All verbs are instructive, but not all are acceptable in their construction. The difference can come from the semantic rule of the post-verbal noun phrase as assigned by the main verb. Verb like arrive, remain, like taken to assign the semantic role of them, whereas verbs like sing, dance assigned an agent role. We thus can conjecture that their construction does not accept the verb whose subject carries an agent semantic role. There are also cases where we might not be able to pin down the exact semantic rule. Is Mary looked at the sky? The subject joined in his book agent and theme. It is agent since it initiated and sustained the movement, but also the since it is the object that moves. Also, the subject Marian can either be an experiencer or an agent, depending on her intention. One can just look at the sky with a purpose at all. Thanks for me. I'm Elysa, and thanks.
I hope our explanation is easy to understand. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.